So I woke up early this morning to get my apartment all clean. I live alone. I've lived alone for like 3 years. It can get a little lonely at times, yes. My boyfriend lives out of state. I don't have a relationship with my parents. And I did have a relationship with my sister, confronted her about molesting me, haven't spoken in 3 years. But I've gotten used to being alone. So I get up early this morning because my friend is like, I'm going to come over. I'm going to bring my son, because we were just venting about how we both feel alone sometimes. And I was like being around him helps. So I want all y'all to come over and we can just chill. This girl was supposed to come at like 5 o'clock. She calls me at like 4:57 and she's like, oh, I won't be able to make it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, deep down I'm kind of fucking hurt because I've been feeling so lonely, and like life has just been getting me. Like, I stopped drinking and smoking because I'm trying to get a new job and I'm just really trying to level up, but that shit is so fucking lonely. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just hit my vape and order some food. I'll make it a good night. Fucking drop my vape in the sink of dirty dishwater, and I'm broke as shit, and I'm not buying another one. That's like why I stopped smoking and drinking. I'm broke as shit. And I'm like, okay, I have like an Uber coupon. Let me use that for some dinner. Order my food. Dude shows up with the bag is empty, y'all. There's forks and silverware in there. And I'm like, Kava, what the? Like, y'all, even an empty cup. Like, this is all there is. So I go to Uber trying to fix it. They're not helping me at all. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck ever. So I'm just like feeling really down. I shouldn't be crying over this, but it's just like the straw that broke the camel's back. Me and my granddad are pretty close. So I call him and he didn't answer. So I call him again. And I was like, hey, like, what are you doing? And basically he just brushed me off because he was in the middle of doing something. I understand because, you know, you're busy sometimes. But y'all, like, and I call my boyfriend and he's doing stuff with his family. And I'm just tired of feeling so fucking alone. Like, I didn't want my life to be like this. I had to be alone to be away from toxic people, but it hurts. Like, this shit really hurts. And I try to pray and stuff and be okay with being alone. Like, I have my cat, but oh my God. I'm just tired and I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna take some Benadryl and go to bed. So I woke up early this morning to get my apartment all clean. I live alone. I've lived alone for like...
So I'm over here minding my business, looking for a video for Kiki Palmer video that I was about to do about domestic violence. And TikTok is so crazy because you be like getting lost in the TikTok streets. Like, I mean, it's like a rabbit hole. Like, you go for one video and then like I could just open the app and next thing I know I'm looking at like 5 or 6 other videos that I didn't ask for or search for. So this girl is talking about how lonely she is, and I almost wanted to like have a little bit of a tear of a cry for her. But the thing is, like, it's so funny because like goes into what I'm talking about, the Childfree movement. So people don't talk about the loneliness. They don't talk about the downsides of not having children or why they really don't have children. Like I said in my other videos, usually because they can't have children for whatever medical reason or biological reason or whatever. Like, whatever the reason is, a lot of people are not choosing to not have kids. They literally can't have kids biologically, but they could still probably adopt if they really wanted to. Or like, you know, become a step parent to like someone else's kids or something. But yeah, so it's like this kind of just goes into it because I'm just like, everyone's on here shitting on parents for building families because we don't want to be alone in this world. Like, I like the ideal of recreating myself and my legacy continuing on well after I die. And that's literally the only way that a human being is going to be immortal, is through their children and their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren and so on and so forth. Because we only have a little bit of time on this earth, and then once we're gone, we're gone. And whatever you did, that's your legacy. That's what's left. So if you're like not having children, then when you're gone, you're just gone. Like, that's it. And people are like, well, I have nieces and nephews. And it's like, yeah, that's cute and all, but it's not really the same thing because they're like the legacy of your siblings. They're not your legacy per se. I mean, every now and then you might maybe get to adopt a niece or nephew and raise them with your ideologies or whatever, but it's just not the same thing as like blood. The blood literally creating this human and basically continuing the life force well after you're gone. And so I feel like this is like the negatives of being single and child free is what they're calling it now. Some of them are admitting they're childless, like they just cannot have children. But I feel like this is why you get all that anger, and why I took so long as a mother to say anything to the child-free community people, because I kind of feel sorry for them. Like, I feel like this is not a choice, and most people are not going to choose to not have kids. And if you did choose to have not have children, like if you chose not to have children and you're just loving your choice, then why are you online in every space that you can find telling people that you don't have kids? Like, nobody asked about it. Literally no one asked. Most people are not going to care. I think the only people that care about people not having kids are the people in that family. Maybe like your mother might care because she wants grandkids, or your dad or somebody, but strangers, like regular just people just living their own lives, like we're not even thinking about people who don't have kids. Like, realistically, my life is so everybody I know has children, so I don't even think about that, like multiple children. So I just don't even think about it. It's something I never thought of. And so it's like people are creating their own fake perceived war against parents, and you're in this war by yourself, because no one's dealing with you. No one cares. Like, we're too busy with our lives that we have built. And that goes into what I wanted to say is, like, anything worth having, you're going to work for it. So yes, being a parent is not easy all the time. It has its downsides to it. But in the end, the grand scheme, the reason why people keep doing it over and over again for centuries and centuries and centuries is because it's worth it. There's so many more pros to it than cons. There's so many more benefits to it than not. And this woman is the prime example of why people have a family. Because you get older, everyone's going to branch off. Like, even the people you went to school with, whatever, everybody at some point has to start adulting. They have to go move into their own house, buy their own home, whatever they're doing, have their careers, find a significant other, have a kid, get a dog, whatever they're doing. So you need to do the same thing. If you choose not to have children, then do something to build your life so that you enjoy your child-free life. Instead of coming online and being mad at parents for being parents, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. And it's to the point now where they're so hateful towards parents that I was on Reddit, and they were like, oh, we should just have like child-free communities. You're not that important. You're not that important where you should be having an entire community just for yourself. But even if you wanted that, I would welcome it, because me personally, I don't really want to deal with people who don't like children. You are exhausting. I much rather deal with a child than a grown-up. Adults are like retarded because they haven't been raised right. Like, if you don't have kids, you're usually selfish, you're usually self-absorbed. You think the world should revolve around you, but you're big, and it's just not going to. Like, my world's going to revolve around my children first and foremost, but also like people who are young, smaller, and need me more than a grown-ass person. And I put that in the comments somewhere on like some video like a while ago, that exactly what this girl's saying. It's like, you notice how she said her friend was supposed to come over with her son because her being around her friend's son makes her happy. Yeah, it makes most parents are happy with their children. They make us happy. That's why we had children. And I say children in plural form because most people, I think, have more than one kid. So you must have liked it, or you wouldn't have had another one, you know. And it's like she is benefiting from his presence, the little boy's presence. And then, but the thing is, like, they don't want to, the child-free people, I guess, don't want to do all the work. So they want to be able to send the kid back home. And there are repercussions and consequences that come with that. Like, yes, you don't have to raise the child. You don't have to be with them when they're unpleasant, when they're sick, when they have a messy diaper, or they're hungry or whatever. You don't have to deal with that. You can just hand them off to the parent. But this is what you get, is you can't dictate when that child is going to be around you. to brighten your day, to make you feel better, to do anything positive for you because you're not the child's parent. So the girl, her friend that said she was going to come over, and she's like, oh, I understand what it's like to be lonely, but the loneliness you feel as a parent versus being single with no children is like completely night and day. It's just so different. And it's like, was that friend really that lonely? Why do you think she called out at the last minute and decided not to? Because she wasn't that lonely. She has her son. She probably decided to watch movies with her son, or veg out on the couch with her son, or take him to the playground, or now she's tired because she was spending time with her son. So, yeah. And I wish people would stop pushing this fake-ass narrative like being child-free is so great, because honestly, in about 20 to 40 years from now, a lot of y'all are going to be really annoying. I already know it. You're going to be old. You're not going to have people coming to visit you. You're not going to have people to take care of you. You're going to be annoying and probably trying to be online complaining about the fact that you wish you would have had some kids because now you're lonely and you're bored, or you're sick and there's no one to fight on your behalf that doesn't also have a foot in the grave. So, I told you so. Like, I feel like I had to be really blunt because people just don't get it. Like, when COVID happened, every time I think of people who are talking about people with kids, when COVID happened, I was so happy to be at home with my children. I have older children that like to run the streets, because they're older, they're teenagers, so they want to be out and about. And I was happy to finally just get to have a reason to like have all of my children under one roof, spending time with mommy. And meanwhile, I'm having to read articles and watch videos on YouTube or wherever of people who were complaining about loneliness. These are always single people with no children, just talking about how lonely they are. They're so lonely. Yes, of course you are, because humans are not meant to be alone, like 100% all the time alone. That's crazy. And people just try to put these weird narratives on parents. They just assume like, oh, because you have kids, one, that baby that you're struggling with is going to grow up one day. Because you grew up, right? You're not a baby anymore, right? So one day children do grow up and they do become an asset to our lives, actually, honestly, even before birth a lot of times. But they're funny, and you're going to laugh with them, and you're going to play board games with them, and you're going to be able to go on vacations with them. And another thing is, parents are able to leave their kids at some point and go on vacation. I know people don't believe that, but we pretty much can do everything a non-parent can do if we really wanted to. If you don't see parents out doing the things that you're doing with your dollars, like say, oh, I'm single, I'm going to travel to Bermuda, or I'm going to go do this, I'm going to go do that. Like, if you don't see people doing those things, that's because they don't want to. It's not because they can't. Like, me as a mother, I have a great support system. I'm blessed that I have 2 baby daddies. I say that really, it's so funny, but I have an ex-husband and I have an ex-fiance. They actually like their children and they love their children. So they are very supportive and helpful in helping me raise our children. Then I have my mom, who just retired, and she loves being a grandmother. She's actually begged me to keep the kids for like a month at a time. She could fly. She flies up here a lot and visits with us and helps out with the kids. So then I have my big sister. She's my bestie forever and ever and ever. And I talk to her like almost every day. And we've been through the trenches together of raising children together. And I just adore her. And then I have my little brother. He has some beautiful girls, my nieces. So I just can't imagine life without the kids in our family. Like, I just can't imagine that. And that's why I want to speak out more, because I think that parents are being shamed for having children, especially in America. America's anti-kids, is anti-family. We get shamed for having children. We get shamed for having more than one child. Like, God forbid you have 3 or 4. It's like the world's going to end. Everyone's going to just shut down and die. And then this whole fake narrative of like, oh, we're running out of resources. Who told you that? Does America really look like it's hurting for resources, or does it look like it's wasting a lot of its resources? Like, we have empty ass buildings. We've got people sleeping on sidewalks and people who are going hungry, but we're throwing away food, and the buildings are empty. The real estate is empty. No one's even living there or working there, and they won't even let people go move into those buildings. So this is just talking about this country. So we're going to talk about the whole world, and you really think that there's not enough resources for all the humans on the planet? Seriously? And to even get into that even further, you are saying that God created these humans without a thought of how we're going to survive on his planet. That's basically what you said. You went there and said, somehow you know that there's not enough resources for everyone and their mama to be on this planet. So basically God got it wrong. That's what you're saying. God created you to not have enough food and shelter and water. That's what we're going with. Yeah. Okay. So I'm a divine feminine as well. I know for a fact that everyone that's on this planet, they already had a soul contract with God to return to this planet, to come to this planet, to do this planet a few different lifetimes or whatever. So that argument of, oh, there's not enough stuff for people, like, that's why I don't have any more kids. I don't want to have kids and overpopulate the world. Shut up. Like, I mean, seriously, like, it's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard. Overpopulate the world? And then let's not even point into the fact that people die. So, yeah, that's happening. So, like, when you're having children, those children they're not going to be joining a world of infinite human beings that never go away. Like, there's a whole plethora of people dying as well. So how can you ever run out of resources when there's never going to be it's not like you're just adding humans and other humans are just always going to be there. No, it's like a cycle. Life and death, I mean, it's a cycle. And then you look at all the countries that think like that don't, the countries that don't prioritize or promote having children or children existing in this world. I don't know when this world became, but anyways, those countries struggled the most during COVID. They had old ass people dying off and they didn't know what they were doing with themselves. And now they're paying people, like young families and young people, to move there and have children, because children will always be the future. It doesn't matter what anyone says or how they're feeling in this small moment of time. That's just what it's going to always be. It can't be any other way. And you're not doing anything spectacular because you chose to not have children. Like, I'm happy you're not having kids. If you're not, why I'm happy that people who are not having kids are not having kids is because I don't want you to have children and be a whole abusive nightmare. So please don't. Like, if you don't like children, don't have children. If you don't like people who have kids, please move yourself away to a child-free community and exist with your people. Because children are here to stay, and they have every right to be here, just as much as anyone else is here. They're human too, so it's sad I had to even say that. But I feel like a lot of people are walking around after they've gotten to be snotty, bratty kids and hate on children who are acting like how they always acted. And they expect the world to be like, now I'm an adult, so now it has to be child-free, but the world had to put up with you while you were a child. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say about that. I am going to keep saying more of my opinion of what I really think about things. And I know this is why it took so long to say anything, because I knew deep down that people who make the most noise online are the people who are the unhappiest. So people who are like, oh, I'm like, this whole child-free movement, I don't even know what, like, everyone coming out, it's like, it just is angering. It's very, like, a lot of anger behind that movement. And people will literally post anywhere they can find to tell everyone they're child free, like anyone cares. Like, because usually when they say they're child free, they're usually putting down people who are child full. Okay, so we have lots of abundance of children. We have our little people, and they usually are finding some way to put us down, and that's what I have a problem with. Like, I don't care that you don't have kids. I don't know anyone who doesn't have children. I don't interact with people who don't have children. People who don't have children, honestly, are so annoying to me. Like, just like you think children are annoying, basically you're a big child. Because when people don't have kids, they don't have a reason to grow up. And they may not even realize it, but it's so obvious to everyone, their mama, that you don't have kids because you are very childish. You're very immature, very self-absorbed, and you're not a pleasant person to be around. You're just not. Like, this girl, like, I don't even know what she's crying about. Like, what are you crying about? You know? It's like, do you want kids? Like, I'm just confused. Like, what's happening here? Because I always love my own company. So I have friends. I had stuff to do. Like, I just don't understand what's going on. And when you get to be a certain age, like, yeah, it's time to, like, settle down and have kids. But if you don't have kids, they're annoying. They're annoying, and they get worse with age. Like, they just get worse and worse and worse. And some of this is for people who just have one kid, too. I am not letting y'all escape. You guys you have your one kid, and it's like the whole world is going to fall apart with your one kid. People are literally over here raising, like, 12 kids. You're, like, struggling with your one child. You need to get some help. You do. You have to get some help, because you shouldn't be struggling with the one kid. It shouldn't be the world's going to end because of your one kid. Some of this stuff I feel is perceived first world problems. But people who don't have kids at all, I'm promising you. Like, I've had so many issues, so many moments where I literally, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to hurt people's feelings. I don't care. Because people have been hurting my feelings, and I don't care. People who don't have children are so annoying to me. There are so many times that I have not been a friend with someone because they don't have children. Because they're going to try to eat up my time. They're going to have nothing to really talk about. Like, what are we going to talk about? If I'm not talking about education and kids and legacy building and my kids, like, I really don't know what to talk about. I know it may be annoying to them, but that's why you need to hang out with people who also don't have kids. Because people who have children, they are our pride and joy. We love our children. We adore our children. And so we want to talk about our children all the time. We want to compare notes. We want to talk about venting about the teachers that we hate. You know, we want to talk about all kinds of crazy things. And if you don't have kids, you're just kind of looking at us like we have 4 heads. And I can already tell who doesn't have kids because they're always looking at you like you have 4 heads. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, I'm like, you don't have kids, do you? Or I ask, hey, I mean, do you have kids? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, yeah, I thought you didn't. Because whenever you talk about your children, people who don't have kids just kind of look at you. And they're not being mean. These people are nice. They usually are just nod their head and don't really have much to add to it, though. Because if you're a parent, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, I hate when this happens, da da da. Or, yeah, my son, like, you're chiming in with your experiences. I'm going to do a video on, like, all the benefits of having children in 2023. Because there are so many benefits. My oldest son, was actually listening to the video that I posted already earlier, like my first video that I ever created for this channel. And he was like, oh, thanks, Mom. Like, he was like, thank you. Because I was saying, like, all the benefits about being their mother. And I didn't even know he was listening to that part. I did the recording in my room by myself. Like, none of my children were around. And he was, like, really happy. But it's like children should hear those things, too. I don't think they realize how much their parents love them. Like, you can never say it too much. I mean, you like to hear that someone loves you if you're in a relationship, whatever. So, children are humans, too. They're humans. And they bring so much light to our lives. And I'm not saying, oh, they're perfect. But I would hope you like your child. I mean, they're going to have enough crap to deal with when they leave out into the world of people who are assholes. So the least they can do is have a family who loves them and accepts them. You know, no matter what they have going on, we're there for you. We're guiding you, you know, teaching you right from wrong, but we're guiding you and we've got your back, you know, 100 billion%. So, yeah, so I want to do a video to talk about all the positives of having children, having a big family. I always wanted a lot of kids, and my space is going to be very different. I almost want to call it like the unpopular opinion, because it usually is not going to gel with what everyone else is already doing. And, you know, even if I'm looking like I'm doing what people are doing, my story is always like different from everyone else's. And I'm used to that at this point, but so yeah, that's all I want to say. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you all want to hear more about my ramblings, or what, just more about what it's like to be a mother, a single mom, a single black mom in America. Just some nitty gritty of it, you know. And I will talk to you all soon. See you in the next video.